Children who need to be taught to respect traditional moral values are being taught that they have an inalienable right to be gay.
There she is, the lady in red.
In the depth of history's shadows, where the world once turned its back, a fire ignited, a battle fought, and voices rose in defiance. Join us as we illuminate the past and meet those who carry the torch of pride into the present. This journey begins in the southern city of Southampton.
Trans rights are human rights!
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 I think protests are really important for any pride, but especially trans prides. There's been recently, in the past couple of years, there's been a lot of political moves against the trans community. There's been bans from sports, like chess even, and there's been talks of us being excluded from conversion therapy bans in politics as well. So protesting is a major part of pride events right now, because we do need to fight for our rights. A huge inspiration for me to co-found Southampton's Trans Pride was really just knowing that there was a Trans Pride in Brighton. So that would have been back in about 2018 time when I was really going to my first Pride events. It's strange really, because there's a lot going on in Southampton. There's Southampton Pride, there's Party in the Park, there's drop-ins, there's this and that. But there's not really, at least from my perspective in the trans community, a lot where it feels like we are properly being put together. I think a very big part of how we are honouring past activists in the LGBT community and past trans people in their significant lives is really walking in their footsteps. We're marching down the same journey that they have made. You could take it back to the first Pride event in London. People didn't really know if there was going to be a big turnout. People didn't know how the public would respond. And when we were starting to marshal Trans Pride Southampton, we didn't know what was going to happen either, really. So taking those first careful, nervous steps has been, I think, a really good way that we are honouring past people in the community.
With trans, there won't be quiet!
Stonewall wasn't riot!
Trans rights are human rights!
Pride has always been a protest. It's not merely just an event. It's a revolution. It stands as a symbol of resilience, a testament to the indomitable spirit coursing through every member of this community. As we delve deeper into the trans community, it's hard to ignore the persistent challenges still faced today.
We are doing every bit of action to save the NHS that we can. We are signing petitions, signing open letters, attending protests, getting everything in place so that people can actually transition.
The best way to sum up the role that access to trans healthcare plays in actually progressing the rights moving forward is for those of us who want medical transition in any kind of aspect, even if that's just support with social transition in day-to-day life, having access to those services and that support allows us to be who we are. And even though there are detransitioners that do genuinely exist, whenever people who are transphobes find out that those detransitioners do genuinely exist, they will elevate the platform of genuine detransitioners to try and pursue a false narrative saying that there are more detransitioners than there actually are, as a lot of trans surgeries and trans healthcare have the lowest regret rates of a lot of medical or cosmetic procedures.
Now the rest of the news. The government is to ban the promotion of homosexuality in schools.
I obviously don't want children taught that the gay and lesbian lifestyle is natural or normal. It is not, it never has been, and it never will be.
Section 28 may be a dark chapter in our history, but it's also a story of strengths, resilience, and triumph over prejudice. It reminds us all that progress is not granted. It is fearlessly fought for. And we owe much to those who stood up in the face of discrimination, illuminating the path towards a brighter and more inclusive future. In the face of adversity, the LGBTQ+ community and its allies refuse to be silenced. They organise protests, fought in courts and stood up against injustice. Section 28 galvanized a generation, igniting a fire that would lead to its repeal in 2003. LGBTQ+ rights have advanced significantly, but it's important to acknowledge that this fight for freedom stretches back centuries. Let's turn back the clock to the 1950s and the 1960s.
Most Americans are repelled by the mere notion of homosexuality. The CBS News survey shows that 2 out of 3 Americans look upon homosexuals with disgust, discomfort, or fear.
So one day a couple went into a restaurant in Cooper's and started harassing the trans girls. And one of them had enough and threw her coffee cup at the copper. And that's when it exploded.
So the context for the riots, Cooper's, Dewey's and Compton's, is one of a radically changing shift in the mentality of predominantly young people at the time. You have the boomers coming of age around at that time, and you were coming out of the austerity Puritan ideas of the 1950s into a more radical, left-wing, progressive concept in LGBTQ identities and around the civil rights movement with racism. One person's defiance can lead to a whole series of events that escalate from there on in. At Cooper's, it was a trans girl who was being harassed by the police. She was being manhandled. They wanted to see her ID. She'd had enough of being picked on. She picked up a coffee cup and reacted in some ways that some of us would find natural in that situation. She hurled it at the copper. And with that, it triggered the whole bar to just erupt. That was all they needed. They needed an excuse. What was learnt by Stonewall from their riots is difficult to say. They were aware that these riots had taken place. But outside of the locales, not much was heard about these riots. It was just little bits and pieces here and there. A lot of police files were destroyed. A lot of papers didn't report on the issues. A lot of what we get from these riots is word of mouth from the people that were there who remember it. The reason why Stonewall is the one we remember the most is because it took place in New York, which is a major American city. It lasted for 3 days, and it was in the heart of the media centre near Stonewall, so the media was there to see it, experience it, and report on it. So that's why we know more about Stonewall. The community as a whole has learned from these demonstrations and these riots that it will come a time when the more pressure you put on a community, a queer community, to conform, to disappear, to be erased, they will fight back. We will not be silenced. We are not going anywhere. We have been around for millennia. You cannot police us out of existence. We will, in essence, fight back.
Trans rights are human rights.
Trans rights are human rights.
Today, as we continue to celebrate Trans Pride, we pay homage to the legacy of those who paved the path before us, recognizing that the fight for equality is far from over.